Hey people, it's Megan. So, anyways, I haven't been able to do like any of the really long video posts sometimes because sometimes I get a little bit sleepy, or other times maybe I just forget, and and maybe I just never had the opportunity to use the computer as far as that goes. Although I've downloaded this app that was called YouTube Pro, which also allows you to like upload videos to YouTube. So it may do wonders, but I don't know. But although I've tried it out one time, and then it took so long to upload a really short clip of me, and that was only because I went over my data plan as far as with my phone, But I don't know if we're gonna expand it, for more data there or not. I'm not exactly sure about that sort of thing. So, although I could also like try to do it with not just with my phone's cellular network, but also the Wi-Fi itself, because the Wi-Fi is so much faster than that, But then, by the time I'm probably be ready to get like a new one, it's probably going to be like the 5G phones are going to be out, the 5G phones or 6G phones or whatever they're going to call it at that point and then on, but then what's going to happen as far as those type of things, where this probably could be implanted into your ear and then have it projecting a little bit of a hologram or something like that. If we could basically believe that sort of thing, in about a year or two from now. Who knows, really? So, anyways, I guess I would say as far as this month is pretty good, as far as that goes. It's not like how it was with last month. I mean, not how like it was with like last year around this month time, where I was kind of questioning my whole motives and questioning the whole thing with Drew here, But I don't know. I probably should have mentioned this sort of thing before, when the whole thing with him started early on, that I was having like this weird feeling of some. I'm so sorry, when it was about the day before I got my phone, and I think I was going to talk to him about something, and that was kind of like the last time I actually had an actual conversation with him, and then it was like after that I had this funny feeling going around me, and all of that, And then there was just that weird story there, where he said he had like a boyfriend, but then there was no proof of any pictures of sort, and let alone of anything. So the only real proof was that he was just playing hard to get, or just changing the rules in the middle of the thing. I think it was also because I was like jumping the gun a little bit with him, after everything had started to finish, But although I hadn't really told like the whole story with a new friend that I met earlier yesterday. I should say now yesterday. So I would say that she's gonna possibly be my hag, I think. Even though I should really have like my friend Tisha or Selma or Jen, or even my old friend Alice be also my hags in a way. After all, that's the whole story with like having a hag. I mean, although I think maybe there's room to have more than just one hag, besides as well as I can, in a way, but, and in a way also, like, Mom is also a hag, so anyways, the whole story was that I was doing my walk and doing a voice post, and then I kind of ran into her, and then we talked for maybe about like half an hour about all this other stuff, and I did tell her about the whole thing, I mean, not just the basics about it, with the whole drama with Drew, and then I think she was kind of like, oh, just move on, maybe, like that sort of stuff, but it's kind of really funny, I never really, I should have gone around and tell people the whole reason why I tend to do these sort of things, I feel like I had to kind of give these people, like, the benefit of the doubt as far as that goes, maybe if they already had, as far as like the case with Drew, if he already had a boyfriend already, he could have at least posted all these sort of pictures on his profile on MySpace or Bear WW, but he didn't. There was the only picture that he posted on there was just of himself, and that was it, and then I kind of figured out it was just that he was just trying to make me jealous for some reason, if it was just some sort of, I don't know, maybe it was just control issues or something, I don't know, but I think everything was kind of perfect with him, at least the first 4 or 5 months, and except for that little slip up, and I left him alone for 3 or 4 months, and then I assumed everything was perfect with him after that whole entire time in November and December, and then it was like January of that year, and then it was kind of started to get a little bit, I don't know, and it was all freaking, and it was all out of control around March and April of last year, and then going all to do all these really crazy things there. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying so far, it's not just, no, but, although I'm probably going to meet up with that new hack maybe later on tomorrow or so, but I haven't really told my dad about it just yet, but I probably should have told Dad about it, like, along that line when I got home, but I was just too tired, and Dad was going to go off to the lodge, and I mentioned that, so many times on Live Journal and some places, that Dad always usually goes to the lodge sometimes, to work and all of that, and set up the meetings and stuff, and meet with, like, renters and stuff, but now it's usually always been a more convenient time for me to hook up with some guys there, because Dad would usually be gone, and maybe my brother would also be gone there, but it's hard to get some of them to come over at some point, because you feel a little bit iffy about it, I rarely do these kind of things with, like, hooking up with some guys, So, other times it's always seemingly that I have to kind of bring them around this time of day, around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning or so, like that, because that way they won't have any problems there, but then, like I said, there are so many other guys that were, like, on Bear WW that are kind of, I'm not really exactly sure what I should really call them at that point, because a lot of them seem to like me in some ways, but I never really got to go further than just flirting with them. And then, very rarely I would get one that could actually come over and do something with me that way, regardless of whether it's just an actual date or whether it's just simply a hookup, Because, like I have said so many times before, that I can't really just drive up to certain places, and I have to have, like, a ride, or I have to try to take the bus, or something else just to get to there, But, as I kind of mentioned, what was it? It was probably about in the beginning of the year, beginning of this year, when I went to that whole party there, and of course everybody was playing safe there, and then I should have mentioned it so far, but I never really had mentioned it on here on YouTube as far as those two guys, Dan and Dave. I mentioned in so many times on Live Journal, but never really mentioned it on YouTube so much. So as far as with Dan and Dave, it was right when I finally got on Bear 411, maybe I think it was around 09, and then I think I only hooked up with maybe one guy that was on there, and then it was kind of like towards the end of 09, and then there was one guy I might have hooked up that was local, but as when I finally got his number, it was a fake number, it was somebody else, and I kind of basically reported him, but the guy didn't explain himself, or didn't know what to make of it when I kind of tried to confront him on it, that sort of thing with him, and I kind of blocked him after that, That was one other drama, and another drama that I had with somebody that accused me of, stalking them, and that they had to change their numbers, but I haven't even talked to them before. I think he was just simply being all crazy, or whatever it was. There was one other guy, and that was just maybe about sometime last year. So it was probably maybe the end of 2010 when this guy, which is Dan, and Dan was messaging me, about wanting to hook up with me, and I kind of told him no. Maybe at least once or twice, and then in a way I started to feel a little guilty there, and then I think I was trying to give him an actual chance, the benefit of the doubt as far as that goes. So I think he just didn't want to come over, but wanted me to come over, so that one time I think I was already in the midst of that whole drama with Drew, that was back around last May, and I think I actually managed to call a taxi, and then managed to visit them for that whole entire time, and then slept with both Dan and Dave there, but although I think they were alright, but nothing really special as far as that goes. And then I think I was just really trying to let Dan down a little bit as far as the way I was acting and all that sort of stuff, but I think that's just one of the things, although I think just that I really just wasn't really that interested in Dan and Dave there, and I think I decided I wanted to give them another, maybe a similar chance to kind of prove themselves at least there, but every time I try to give them a chance to prove it, it simply kind of cements my original feelings there, about them in the first place, that there was just something fishy about them, and I don't know. It was about the start of this year when I was gonna go around and come over to them. He says to me, "Oh, okay, you can come over at this day, that Saturday there." And you know what? I think maybe I should have gone around and messaged them. Text that guy right before I left, rather right after I left and all that, because especially just in case if he cancels out on me or something like that. And then, I could have just gone over to that whole party if he didn't, early on, And then here I thought the door was going to be closed at that point there when they had to be there at that one party, and that party was turning out to be a lot closer than I thought. So, anyways, I actually did manage to go to that whole party because Dad had managed to agree to drop me off at that party there, And, in a way, I decided to forget about Dan and Dave because I gave them so many chances. I gave them so many chances to explain themselves, or at least as far as for Dan to explain himself. But it seemed like Dana was really more interested in my appearance rather than just the real me. Even though he was really familiar with the whole Asperger's, with all that other stuff there, he was very familiar with all that kind of stuff for people like me. But yet he seemed like he acted like he was just trying to split hairs with me and all this sort of stuff. Trying to have his cake and eat it too. But I don't know. I think it's just sometimes there are some people that are just that way. Man, it's like I said before. It's just I'm not that assertive enough with certain people. And usually when I say no, it means no. It usually doesn't mean anything else other than that. And I just really feel like I just wanted to tell them no once, and that's it. If they're not going to hear me, then they're not going to tell them again. But although I should have mentioned it to you guys that that's how I had that whole problem with Matt a few years ago. That was about 4 or 5 years. It was about 5 or 6 years ago that with him, because I clearly said I was not interested, and yet he didn't take the hint lightly. And I kind of felt bad about it, as far as turning him down because he got upset with me. Saying oh, I'm not going to be a backup, and then you know what? He kind of made me feel all that guilty enough that I actually maybe want to give him a real shot at me. And then, of course, what happened is, he blew that whole shot there. He kind of blew it with me there, and it made me, it made me confirm what I've already had known all along with man, that he was just up to no good, and all this sort of stuff there, But I don't know what it is with me. I feel like sometimes I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's sometimes when this sort of thing happens, they always seem to screw it up royally, and it basically confirms what I've already had felt early on. And I had this sort of uncomfortable gut feeling of something, and that was the case with Dan and Dave, or with Matt there. I mean, the whole other story with Matt, besides that, that not only that I have had to dump Matt there in a somewhat cruel way, but I think he knew this sort of thing was coming with me. That was the only way I'm gonna get him off my back was by blowing him off that way. I feel guilty about doing it as far as that goes, but it was the only way that he he can understand that I'm just not that interested in him that way, and that, especially if he was shooting for a relationship with me like that, and then when it came to that whole nitty-gritty when I finally like close enough to see where he was really aiming at, and he was just aiming for a hookup with me, But if he just wanted to hook up with me right then and there, he could have just simply said that instead of just trying to make it so that he was in love with me and all this sort of stuff, and wanted a relationship when he just wanted to fuck me or something like that. When he just wanted to fuck me or want me to fuck him or something like that sort of thing. That's how the whole story goes, but I don't understand it, I don't understand people like that, But I think now that maybe I've been I don't know, drawn on it too long as far as with Matt there. Been that many years. But I think it was just, for me, it was hard because this was like the first guy that I had to break his heart, even though I didn't like doing it. And then the fact of having that whole guilt feeling turned around on me, having it all turned around and having this sort of thing be turned around, like, as far as me dumping him and then having it being turned all around on me, like that, But I think maybe I kind of knew that sort of thing was coming with him in some ways, but I hope by now that maybe things will work out for the better as far as that goes, and that I wouldn't have to deal with certain people like that, or at least learn ways to deal with certain people that are gonna get in my way in some shape or form as far as in those type of situations, and that some way of dealing with them without having to kind of hurt their feelings too much, or at least in some ways not wreck their whole self-esteem of some sort. I think I had all these kind of not only problems not just like with Drew or Ricky, or Man and all that, but as I kind of stated on a previous blog on my other channel, is that this sort of thing had happened with adult transition after high school, that I had this sort of bad feeling about going into that, this sort of apprehension of it, and then in a way of looking back at all of that, I kind of think that I probably should just stick with my whole original gut feelings of it, that I was just being all uneasy about going into adult transition and having to have this sort of other things about having all these sort of people telling me, getting in my way of my educational goals and stuff, But like I said, it's not just that, but I think it was just simply like one of those weird things that I should have mentioned so far, But then, what could I say with any of them, It's not just that, but I think, the whole reason I was going for that from there, was because most of those people that that were at the adult transition at the time weren't really familiar with Asperger's, and in the fact that there were all these other little things, But the story seems to go like that about the time they were willing to make these sort of concessions for me, I was already done. I was already done with all that. And I kind of wish that, why couldn't they just make these sort of concessions for me, right when I was doing it, right when I asked for these sort of concessions and things like that, But no, it was just like, oh, is it too hard for me, or and all that sort of stuff. I think the strangest thing, it was like probably, wait a minute, it was probably the last time I had one of those IAP meetings, that year, like in '02, I think that I couldn't get everything all out of my system there, and the fact that what I probably should have said so far, it was just that maybe the only reason I was upset with them was the fact that they were just wasting my time. That I just really wanted to focus on the graphic design, and that was it. And I didn't need to be bothered by all this other stuff there in the first place. And that if I simply asked for this sort of stuff, then I would ask for that. And then if I simply wanted to do these kind of stuff about learning how to pay the bills and all that sort of stuff, or the life skills stuff, I would basically ask for that. But other than that, they should just simply leave me alone on that. It was this other thing that I basically had gone around and told Dad, like last night, that if I wanted to watch TV with him, I would ask him to watch TV, or I would tell him about them. But other than that, I just want to watch TV in peace, that sort of thing, But that's one of those little things that I should have mentioned so far, But so, anyways, I guess that's probably it, Since now I've already had talked for about 28 minutes so far, But damn, maybe I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about all the other stuff, but then, I'm starting to get a little bit sleepy, and then I have to kind of update and do all this other stuff just to put it on YouTube, So, anyways, talk to you guys later.